Now watch this drive.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to No Party Affiliation. Every week we run the same drill. What's true, what's missing, and who stands to gain. The only side that we're all on is reality. So we're not here for party line politics. We're here to discuss the history, the propaganda, the unknown, and to give you guys insight across a variety of perspectives stretching all the way from the CIA to Hollywood. So welcome in. Nothing is as it seems. So guys, the Jeffrey Epstein files are hot right now. And I wanted to ask you if you saw something pretty interesting that I saw. And I think interesting might be an understatement. Just frame it right there. But this one is wild. So on the 6th of December 2018, the FBI's office in New York initiated a child sex trafficking case against Jeffrey Epstein. And just so happened that the same day that investigation was opened, Jeff ordered 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid to be transported to the island that same day. And so when you look that up, you know, there's not a lot of utility for that outside of melting things. And my question to you guys is,
batteries, bro.
Do you think
batteries, obviously.
Clearly making batteries. Do you think that there's a coincidence there, or that's just a coincidence, or that's something deeper?
I mean, my first inclination is you're covering a crime scene. I think that's anybody who, you know, has been following the Jeffrey Epstein case or just sort of has a pulse. It's not like, you know, we're not talking about an orgy at Versace's mansion, you know, and trying to clean the pool after. We're talking about like getting rid of like some like bones and flesh and stuff like that with the amount of acid that he ordered.
I mean, obviously, right? And we all know this guy was an evil asshole. We know that he was, you know, doing evil stuff. And I'm trying really hard to not break into swearing. But
great job. That was actually really impressive.
Thank you. That's why I'm stumbling all over myself today. I'm running a little bit slow after Super Bowl Sunday, just like 80% of the rest of the country. But it kind of reminds me, Brandon, we were having a conversation about the Chinese, totally not Chinese biolab that was discovered in Reedley, California, right in 2023, and then now linked to one that just got uncovered in Las Vegas here just a couple short weeks ago. And the through line was like, well, the reason we didn't report it to the public was because it's like there was nothing unsafe happening, so the public wasn't in danger, so there was nothing to report. And it's like, well, right, yeah, because having multiple deadly diseases and biological components to multiple deadly diseases in your garage is a totally not unnormal thing for people to happen, right? So it's like, obviously, this is one of those things where you go, we know the guy was an evil asshole, like we know he was doing evil stuff. And then you're going to try to get me to believe on top of all of that it's a totally probably not unevil reason that he's ordering all of these drums of sulfuric acid. He's probably just making batteries or something, right? It's one of those things where it's like, piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. You know, like...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't, and I apologize, guys, for the audience. I'm at home today. I got back in late from town from a cheer tournament. Pray for me. But the how people can look at this kind of story and headline and then mesh together facts like this where... Oh, and by the way, on this day, all this sulfuric acid was ordered, and not have questions and because there's so many people who are like, it's not a big deal. Like, why are you guys making such a big deal out of this, that, or the other? Whatever the story is, doesn't have to be Epstein related. Obviously, this is maybe one of the more prime examples. It's a huge issue for our populace and for our country in the sense of the state of it, that is. that no one looks at this and is like, huh? Like for some people, there's literally they could see those two things, mash them together, and be like, I don't see anything. I don't see my alarm bells aren't going off. Like how? Like how do you like honestly? How do some people operate that way? I get it. Like when you've done some of the stuff that we've done, you've lived the world and the lives that we've lived. Maybe like it's a stretch to see things through the lens that we do, but like a common sense person, I'm at my house, like I go in my house right now and I could talk to my wife and present these two things, and she's a common sense person, she'd be like, well, that doesn't ring true, like something's wrong there. But there's so many people who don't. I just don't get how there's people who still operate that way, who it doesn't actually compute in that manner, where they see it like, oh, maybe Chris, Brandon, Drew, and Tom were onto something. Maybe there's something worth exploring here. Some of them just stop right there, like, nope, we're good.
Well, there's a few things that come to my mind when we talk about this, and that I want to know what state this building, his house, was in, that he needed to order 6 drums of 55-gallon sulfuric acid. I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about freezers? Are we talking about a mess? It's still in progress that we have to clean up? Are we talking about storage units underground? I want to know all these things. I'm actually curious now if anybody has flown anything over the island with any sort of ground penetrating radar to see if there's anything that exists. I mean, it wouldn't be hard either to go off the island and bury something in the water, to be honest. But the other part of it too that it makes me think about is these two dates are identical. Could it be coincidence? It sure could be coincidence. I highly doubt it is. But the other thing it says to me is that somebody probably told him that this was happening, and it just so happened that it was able to put the order in for those drums that day because he knew that an investigation was coming and was worried about it getting hit and then evidence being discovered and all of this stuff. So it says to me further that there's people in our government or in the FBI's office who are tipping him off that this is going to happen and giving him the opportunity to clean this stuff up. And then the other thing with it too that you were touching on, Drew, this is something we were talking about earlier with one of our other guests, but the presentation of all of this completely catastrophic evidence will do two things, and I've seen both of them. I've seen the people who are now enraged because they've either just learned what this stuff is, or they already knew what it was,
Yep.
and now they're seeing evidence. Or there's the analysis paralysis crowd, or the people who are like, oh, I've already went down the rabbit hole a long time ago. I don't want to keep looking. And I think that there is a good point in saying that all of this evidence being come out and shown you, these videos, these photos, these various states of people in undress or whatever else is in these photos, it causes such ontological shock that you just go into this total state of not reacting, and you don't do anything. And I think that's sort of the point. And this is actually a tactic that's used to interrogate people, is to hit them with so much information they don't know what to think, right? And I think that's partly what's going on here, and that's something to consider as well when you consider that this is the information we're allowed to see. But when you to sort of put a bow on all of that, to me, the 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid, I'm interested to know if there's been other times when that's been delivered. And I would like to know what exactly went into those, of course. But to me, that's not a coincidence. I think those two things go hand in hand.
Well, can I go back and jump on something that Drew was saying before we get too far away from it, in that you brought up the common sense approach to it. And something that obviously is just like totally and completely lacking nowadays. And it's really because most people, it's not that they don't have common sense. They're just being disingenuous with you and intellectually inconsistent for the point of doing so. But, it's the whole Hanlon's razor, malice and incompetence. But you're absolutely correct, right? Like, you could be a 20-year deacon of your church, cheer dad, on the night patrol for your HOA, and if you ordered 6 drums of sulfuric acid, I would be like, wait, that's not a thing that normal people do. Hold on. Mm-hmm. It would be weird for that guy, right? Let alone the dude that owns, the pedophile sex dungeon island.
Well, what we're comparing it to is literally, it's literally an invoice. It's not like you, through the process of discovery, you figured out that you paid somebody for popsicles, and those popsicles were actually tubs of sulfuric acid. Like, it's just written out in plain language, which is the other point here, is that none of this it's not well hidden. These are just regular Gmail accounts. These are just regular emails. Like, somebody made the joke about how here I am at work worrying about how I'm wording my emails, and then Jeffrey Epstein is writing heads of state and being like, haha, that's funny, LOL. And that's it.
The heli, like misspelling everything.
Oh man, that's hella weird. Come on, I'll see you on the island this weekend. But that's the way it is. It's just so cavalier. All it says to me is that this is normal for these people. This isn't like, oh, secret and I hide this. It's my identity. Like, no, this is your entire identity, is to be this person.
Also, too, with the release of the files, I think there are some red herrings in there to get the normies to say, it kind of blow it off and just say, oh, it's another conspiracy theory. Pizzagate wasn't real. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in the past week about people saying, and me bringing up, well, I guess Pizzagate's real. And they're like, no, it's not. That was debunked a long time ago. Hillary Clinton wasn't running child trafficking out of a pizzeria. That was the narrative that Hillary Clinton came up with. It had nothing to do with what was said in John Podesta's emails.
Correct.
And if you have that surface level of understanding of what's going on, of course, with these new releases and revelations, you're going to think, oh, it's another conspiracy. Just like some of the red herrings that I've seen in there, where it's like, this one seems, that get posted by an account, on social media that has like 50 followers or whatever, and says, look right here, Donald Trump was doing this, or Bill Clinton was doing that. And it's like, it's clearly sort of misinformation to put out there to make this seem like, to cast doubt on everybody who's either reading them or hearing secondhand knowledge of what was read.
Again, real quick side point, like, Tom, you bring that up, like, you see some of these things come out, and pay attention. This is a smart audience. New show, we're several episodes in, but I know it's a smart audience because you're coming from, our audience over here, the I Came With Fire audience over here. Like, you're smart. And if you're not from either of those audience, you're smart because you landed here. But like I was saying earlier, like, you see this data come out and you get this headline and this data point, and you should see some symmetry between them. You should have alarm bells going off. If you see some of this stuff come out and you see it from an account that has 25, 27, 87, 152 followers, and then you see it as like, oh, but I just saw this on the internet. It's like, stop it. Stop being an idiot. Like, piece that together. Now, does that mean that someone with less than 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 followers is not smart? No, it doesn't mean that, obviously. That's not what I'm saying. And it doesn't mean someone with 1.5 million followers is smart either. Most of the conservative folks you're following with that level of volume are absolute idiots as well.
Yes.
But the point is like, blend these things together. Okay, here are the data points that I have. 53 followers over here says this is the gospel. We have to follow this truth. The headline is this. The legal evidence is this. Like, please, for the love of God, piece that stuff together and come up with a better starting point, not the end point, starting point for where your head's at, for where your mind's at as it pertains to whatever issue we're talking about, in this case, Epstein. Like, You've got to take a better approach, because I see that all the time. We all do. Like, did you see this tweet? Did you see who tweeted it? Like, are you freaking kidding me?
What's the source?
Like, it was a bot in Macedonia. Like you're like totally hook, line, and sinker in on this.
Well, and the incentive structure is set up so that what's the word that I want to use here? To where outrage,
Zanzibar.
Outrage sells, right?
Outrage.
Obviously, nuance. Nobody has any amount of time for it. And so everybody's only going to run with whatever reinforces their pre-existing theories of what was going on around here. A lot of people are showing that they have absolutely no idea how to look at information in context. It's like you brought up the idea. You look at the way that this guy's emailing, and they've got emails of him using his email box as basically a repository drive about stuff that he's going to do, and saying that this is absolute and total now proof that he was blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, a lot of you, your analytical skills are just sadly lacking. And then most of you don't care because it's driving the traffic that is the point of what you're trying to do. So you could honestly care less if you're being intellectually honest or not. So setting all of that aside, to your point though, Tom, right? I would just ask the question to the average person and go, okay, what is the second best thing to keeping information from getting out? If you have a thing that you don't want somebody to know, obviously the best thing is that they don't know what it is. Okay. But the second best thing would be just let it all out. Throw all the information out there, completely flood the zone. Nobody's going to be able to come to any type of consensus about what's real and what's not real. And then anything that is truth will just get drowned out in the cacophony of noise that people are going to make about it. And I see that, like, to make it into a like a war analogy, right? If I can't fight with my enemy on the battlefield that I choose, the second best thing that I can do is just spread the battlefield out as far as possible. And now my enemy can't make any meaningful defense because they don't know, like, from where the actual attack is coming from. Right. And so it's like, I think that that's kind of what we're seeing here. It's like we censored it, kept it as long as we possibly could. And then it's like, okay, what's the second best thing? Flood the zone, release it all. Nobody will know what's true or not.
You know, one thing I just want to bring up, and I know it's kind of out there, but I used to live in Palm Beach County, which I lived out west in a place called Wellington. And my ex-wife works at a TV station. And I remember we were still married, so it must have been about 2010 or so. And a pickup truck had gone off the road on I-95 in Palm Beach County. It became a standoff with the guy in the car. He had become overwhelmed with fumes in the car. They ended up, I think, either they killed him or they got him out of the car. I'm not sure how it ended. But when they searched the vehicle,
really goodly or really badly.
Yeah, but when they searched the vehicle, they found two 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid, two of them, with his kids, one in each one of them. So,
jeez,
God.
Yeah.
Can we get a nicer story, Tom?
I know, but what I'm saying is, to me, it's just so. When I first heard this come out, I was like, "Holy shit! I've heard this story before, where a guy killed kids by putting them in a 55-gallon drum of sulfuric acid that happened in Palm Beach County, whereas one of the residences of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not saying he saw the newscast or whatever, but I just find it really coincidental that something that horrific happened that was like the big, huge news story in Palm Beach County, in the same county where he had a residence and spent a lot of time there.
Well, okay, good.
Go ahead, Bryn. Well, I was just going to add, I just side because it came up before. You know, obviously this is a big story with the drums that were delivered there. Tom, you're bringing up this story now. Can I just ask a side question? Like, who goes into, like, you're at a cocktail party. It's right. We just finished the holiday season. We're into the early part of 2026. Who goes into that business? Like, what do you do, Doug? Well, I'm in the sulfuric acid business. Like, who? Like that's a weird freaking thing. Like, well, we sold a lot of drums this week. Like, I mean, that's just a weird.
Right.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you work in certain industry, you know, the battery industry, whatever. Like, yes, I get it.
Yeah.
But like when you're just selling that, like that's a weird ass thing.
You would think
I don't know
that
how
if
you
you're
explain
selling, there are things in industries that have to report what they're selling and then quantities and things like that to certain oversight. And you'd think that 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid going to a small island in the Caribbean would be suspect in something that you should have to report to some sort of authority, because that is a real oversight function. And it makes me wonder if that oversight is in place and it just wasn't functioning, or that address was one that they were just treating as, okay, well, that didn't happen, right? Even though you have to account for the sale of it somehow, right, tax-wise and all of that. Maybe you find a way to distribute that money someplace else. That's what it makes me think about. I think that the greater lesson that I'm learning, the more I've gone through these files, okay, is that there's a macro and a micro function. And we did talk about this earlier today too a little bit. But the macro obviously is, hey, there is a cannibalistic death cult that is trafficking children, and all of our elites around the world, right? All of these mega corporations and leaders, world leaders, whatever, they're all involved in this somehow, and it's tied to all of this ancient mysticism and secret societies. And the other part of it that I think this overt shock that's happening is that we're missing the fact that there's all of these systems that are at play, or that are enabling this to happen. And there's an entire subculture of people that you'll never hear of who make sure that this stuff happens all the time. And I'll give you an example. So if you go onto these files, there's some pictures that actually have URLs that are hidden inside the photos. And these URLs will take you to different websites, and some of them will take you, like they'll take you to a Roblox, literally to Roblox, which is, of course, another site that's functioned as a place to attack kids, like as an attack vector for children. There's some that'll take you to modeling sites. There's some that'll take you to religious sites, and they are embedded in these photos, right? And first off, did the FBI do that? Who is doing that? This exists. They are superimposed into these photos. So that's another question: is somebody slow dripping information? But then you look at the way something like Pizzagate or whatever, to go back to the whole John Podesta thing and Hillary Clinton, how that was perpetuated was literally secret websites, and then ways to use regular search engines as a means to find pedophilic material online in plain sight. And it has to do with literally the use of SQL, and then the specific words you type with the underscores and all of that stuff. And there's a community of this that operates by using hashtags. There's a community of this that operates by communicating to each other out in public, like all of these things. So it makes me wonder who the ordinary people are that are doing this stuff, and not just these big people. It's like we're going to look at all of these folks that are involved in it and the crazy shit that's involved in it, and we're worried about that when we should be worried about the entire network, the veins, as it were, that are pumping this blood around, keeping all of this stuff alive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure if you're going to go in and buy 6 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid, some kind of red flags are going to go up. Either if it's, I could see if you've got like a company that needs that kind and you're getting, these amounts like monthly or whatever, that's kind of different. But if I were to go somewhere that, sells ammonium nitrate, and I say, I want 2 tons of it, I'm sure I'm going to start getting some calls and some questions are going to be asked, because I'm not a rancher, I'm not a farmer. What's the purpose that I would need something like this if it was a one-off buy? So you're right, Brandon. There is that network. I think where did that ammonium nitrate from East Palestine go? Just side point. Yeah, I feel like there's these little threads there that people in the FBI or high up in the government won't pull on, because they know that it'll start unraveling things and there'll be a paper trail of people.
Well, first of all, they're only going to look into it if Nick Sorter, Nick Shirley, or Cam Higbee report on it. Then the FBI will be sure to suddenly start looking into it.
That's
right?
because they're feds as well.
Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say that, like a lot of this stuff has been out there for such a long time to back you up, Brandon. Like, if you want to talk about them using video games and video game chat rooms as places to communicate, or at least, like just looking on the terrorist side of things, Fox was putting that into the script of 24 back in 2004, 2005. They were showing, and you think that these people just like sat in a writer's room and came up with these ideas. It's like, no, because they know that it's happening. And so, that would be a good element to add to the script. And one of the very first things that I was ever taught when I first became Army intelligence was how to look at the metadata behind images, because there's always stuff hidden in the code down there. Anybody that's ever sent a picture, or a graphic knows that there's lines of code that go into it, and you can hide all kinds of things in there. And even my kid was showing me that he found out that people are using Google Maps as a place to communicate. Kids that don't have phones or whatever, don't have phone numbers, will go in and they will use the comment section or whatever underneath restaurants, locations, they have meetup spots to where it's like you pull up the comment section underneath the rating scheme underneath insert government
Joe's
building,
Pizzeria.
Joe's Pizzeria or whatever, and there's conversation threads that are happening in there as it gets updated and deleted, and people are communicating in there. They have message boards. It's all out completely and totally in the public. But to my point from earlier, it's the flood of information because it's out there, and it's like there's no way to look at all of the traffic that goes out over the internet, like even within an hourly period, that a lot of this stuff is able to happen completely
I
in
think
the
they
open.
know that. I think obviously that's part of the point. And that's why I'm saying, like, I want to know why these websites are embedded in these photos. Like, who on the inside is trying to tell us something? Because these websites are linked to dozens of photos, and they all go different places. But they're all categorically tied to this conspiracy in one way, shape, or form. There's some sort of mysticism associated with it. There's roadblocks associated with it. There's modeling agencies that are associated with it. Like, why is somebody attaching these links and then they're not obvious? They're very well hidden. Like, I'm telling you, like, they are this big in the photo. You have to specifically like highlight and look for these things, but they exist. And I want to know whether or not that the agencies that are releasing this information are fighting one another for control over the narrative, essentially. Are these the Good Samaritans who are embedding these links in here and they're trying to tell us something? Or are these the people that are obfuscating and trying to confuse you even further and hoping that you're going to discover these things a la the Da Vinci Code, right? Like, what else is inside of these? And I'm anxious to see what comes out as time goes on and people keep going through these things. But it says to me, and tell me you guys' thoughts on this, but that even on the inside, there are people actively working against one another for control over the information, and they're being subversive with one another about it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that 100%. When I was working on Live PD back in the day, we had an incident where there was a shooting and it was a drug rip, and the guy who set up the drug rip ended up doing the shooting. And so the police wanted to get information about how the setup happened. So they grabbed his phone and they wanted to check out the text messages. And one of the deputies said, "Is there anything on this phone that shouldn't be there?" And the guy's like, "Oh, well, there's some pictures on there of my niece at the swimming pool." And he's like, "Well, that's not a big deal." And he's like, "Well, she's naked." It's like, okay, well, that's turning into a bigger deal. So they got a warrant for the phone. They went through it. He had over 4,000 images of children in different ways of undress and sexually. So they went to go pick this guy up. And I went there with my camera crew. And weirdly, this should come as no surprise, the suspect had a diaper fetish where he had a crib that was built to contain himself. He wore diapers, and his boyfriend would change him and so forth. And so we rolled up there. He was wearing Hello Kitty socks with his outfit. And so they got him into custody. And also, there was somebody from Homeland Security that was with us. And so I got to chatting with him. He didn't want to be on camera, but he was a very nice guy. Very chatty about how this whole system works of these CP images going to the PDF files all over the place. And like you were saying, he said that Homeland Security watermarked some of them so they could see from point to point how they get transferred and who these people are that are engaging in this kind of behavior. But to your point, I see guys like that who, God bless you if you work in child sex crimes as one of the agents investigating this stuff. I can't think of a harder position in law enforcement to be in, to be in the gutter with these scumbags.
Yeah.
But I do think people above him are jockeying for position. I see that one agent, and I see agents like that who work in child sex crimes, as being Sisyphus, pushing this boulder up the hill, and the boulder being the network that is controlling everything, where there's certain people that are allowed to receive this for some reason and other people who aren't. So you go after the smaller fish and never, ever go after the big fish. So to me, it's not the guys and gals in the field. It's the ones who comprise this boulder, because they don't want the boulder ever to reach the top, because it would be catastrophic.
No, I agree.
That's a lot.
Well, if you saw today too, the FBI made an official announcement that Jeffrey Epstein. The conclusion of their investigation is that Jeffrey Epstein was not trafficking girls for elites. Like that's their official stance, and it's no oddity that that comes out. What has it been now? Maybe close to a week since the files, this big batch dropped. That now that this is their official
Right.
stance, as some sort of invalidation over all of this, to say that our conclusion of over the preponderance of the evidence here is that nothing happened essentially with Jeffrey Epstein. And then a few days ago, people found Jeff's last girlfriend on X, by the way, who's professing his innocence over and over and over again. And she's posting things about how she's not suicidal and saying that the actual truth will come out. She did this 2 days ago and said that he's innocent and that basically there were people using him. And then, of course, 2 days later, the FBI comes out and basically says he wasn't innocent. And so it just makes you wonder the conversations being had, man. Like even the people we think are playing us are being played by other people. Doesn't you get the impression there? That's what the impression that I get.
Well, I want I want my due. I actually said like a year ago that I am not going to be surprised when it comes out and we all find out that he's actually alive and he's just been turned witness and he's in like some type of witness protection. And I'm like, if you really go back and really think about it, you know, it's like the keeping the network, the assets in play, the systems, SOPs and TTPs in place that he was a part of or he was a node of. If you're the United States government now and you want to maintain some sort of control on that, or like I said, you have assets that are in place because of the network that was operating and whatever, it does start to make more sense that if this guy's really alive and is like in witness protection or something, that's why everything has been so fought against to keep it all just redacted, keep everything behind closed doors, because turns out like this stuff is all still happening. Right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying allegedly, everything I just said, allegedly, but I'm not going to be surprised when that comes out to be the truth.
Well, it begs the question.
Well,
Right? Are they asking themselves, what's the worst outcome? To keep this going or to let all of these people be exposed and have the entire infrastructure that holds up the West essentially collapse in on itself? Like, is the status quo better or is that better? That's, I think, the question that they're really asking, frankly.
That's like the ultimate ethical question. It's like, do you want to destroy the world or are you cool with child sacrifice?
Well, and that's what it is. That's what it is. That's
No, for
100% what it is. Like that's what they're weighing behind the scenes,
Right.
and that's what's so sick. And what's crazy too, like going back to the real simplistic kind of like layman's term. Like I do think that way, and I also don't think that way at the same time. But like for everyone out there in the audience, like think about this. Think about, and I'm not trying to attack you, like, but some of you are going to fall in this category. Some of you wanted when you elected Trump, maybe you didn't vote for it, whatever, but like most people wanted when they elected Trump for this to be a major issue, and it was promised, right? You were going to get transparency and truth and convictions and yada yada, all this stuff. Correct. And then we were told the files were on the desk, and then we were told there was no files and there's nothing here to see here, and you're an idiot if you look at it. I just don't get how you can get to the point now where you wanted all this stuff. You saw this and you have enough questions. You don't know. No one knows for certain, right? No one. We've got some files now. We've got some visibility into it. We've got some pretty strong inclinations as to how things happened, why things happened, who loosely speaking, very loosely speaking, is involved, but the elites. And yet, then there's people. They put out these half-assed reports, these lame reports that are like, yeah, we don't think that he was involved in child trafficking. We don't think he was involved in this, and they're preying on you being like, oh, okay, well, all right. But they said it's not that big. That it's not a big deal. We're gonna move on. Let's all move on. Like, look at the border. The border's great. Like so it's like again, like please, like use some more critical thinking skills. It doesn't mean that your critical thinking skills lead you to the ultimate end all be all solution and answer. None of us have that. We probably never will. but you're on the right scent, and to just give up, like, so, like, what they want people to do is just give up and concede and be like, all right, that was a big nothing burger, let's move on. It's not a big nothing burger. It's a big ass burger. It's dinner time. I'd love a big ass burger right now. It's not a nothing burger. Like, stay on it. Like, let's
100%.
go. Like, but that's the problem is, and when you can step back and look at all this stuff in real practical, simple terms. I'm a Neanderthal, man. I was a linebacker. I did ground and pound stuff overseas. Like, I'm not freaking Albert Einstein. Thank God. You don't want me making major scientific and like political decisions. But like, my brain understands, like, there's major concerns here. There's some obvious things that are missing. Some people are winning and we're losing. And that's the thing that drives me craziest about this whole conversation is we just keep being told, stand down. Everything we thought was true is not true. There's nothing to see here. And like, if you really believe that, like, I shouldn't say this, but you shouldn't watch the show. You're not smart enough to keep up with it. Like, that's just not true. It might not be way over here either. And in this terrible shot that I've got today, without being in the studio, like, you may not even see my hand, but like, it may not be way over there, but it's not where they're telling you it is either. So like, I hope, man, that people can understand that point.
Well, and it's like, I'm using your logic. This is the same group that tried to tell you in the wake of the Patriot Act, right? We just need access to your private data. If you're not doing anything wrong, then what's the big deal? I'm saying the same thing back to you. Okay, if you didn't do anything wrong and there's nothing there, then just publish it and show it to me.
Right.
But you never get it.
Exactly.
I think to move
And don't give them
forward-
that credit. Like, don't.
Right.
Sure. I think to move forward on the point you're making is that you have to. I think we can all say that it is safe to assume that 100% child sex trafficking is going on, and these people are completely and totally involved in it and are responsible for orchestrating this, and that there are people who we see as leadership and movie stars and all this other stuff that are involved in it, and that it is about control. I think that's a safe baseline, right? So then the next question becomes, well, okay, so how do you kill the oxygen that's going to this, operating under the assumption that this is all true? Because the preponderance of evidence is enough to say that, yeah, it is, because this has been talked about and gone on for decades at the very least, like modern America. Let's just keep it here. And the thing that I think that the people you're talking about, Drew, have to come to terms with is that not everything is okay and nice, and that you can't just ignore these things anymore, that the baseline belief that the U.S. government has your best interests at heart, and all these other institutions are keeping you in mind when they make decisions, that like you have to accept some things as truth, right? And even when the evidence itself isn't completely and totally like airtight, because it's never going to be, and understand and operate that way. Like that's where that healthy skepticism that you're talking about comes from, is understanding that you don't have the full picture, and that if anybody presents you with a full picture and it just seems to fit into a box, that's probably not it at all, right? And I think that keeping this idea on moving forward and trying to solve this problem, if we're going to solve this problem, right, in this hypothetical situation, that you have to figure out where the oxygen that goes into this thing comes from. And to me, it's all of these intangibles that people are just not looking at because everything else is so ugly. It's the companies that are selling the sulfuric acid to shitheads like Jeffrey Epstein. It's the NGOs that are moving kids around in airports. It's the people that let these NGOs use their buses and vans to do this stuff. It's an entire operation that's enabled by everyday people. And you just have to have the fortitude to be like, no. Like that guy that went around the airports and confronted all these people in masks and asked them about the kids that they were transporting. Like, the next fucking time I went to the airport, I'd call every fucking SF veteran dude I knew and was like, meet me at the airport. We're going to bum rush these pieces of shit, and we're going to take these kids someplace safe, and we'll figure it out afterwards. And if I did something illegal, then I'll deal with it. But at least I'll know that those kids are safe. Like, It's not enough, in my opinion, that you're confronting these people in the airport and not doing anything. Like that, right there, like that's what it
Yeah.
takes. It's the everyday shit that has to be confronted, not this grand picture of evil mysticism. Like, yeah, that's a foregone conclusion, in my opinion. It's the everyday people enabling this shit that has to stop.
Amen.
I'm just gonna let your point
I
linger.
agree. Yeah. And scene.
Yeah, I am interested though, just in the spirit of moving the conversation along, to get your guys' take, because I see the script as cracking a little bit, and my evidence for this is like obviously Super Bowl Sunday was yesterday, and I watched about maybe the first quarter of the game, and I got super bored with it. There's this whole thing leading up to it, right? You were supposed to go into the Super Bowl being outraged because, hey, they're going to have this guy play the Super Bowl and he's from Puerto Rico, and it's going to be the greatest, bestest Super Bowl halftime show of all time because he's not white. And so you were supposed to go into it already knowing that it's going to be politically charged, and this guy already made statements about anti-ICE BS and so on and so forth. And you know that he's going to shove it down your throat, right, during the halftime show. So everybody was already pretty apathetic about it. But then, right, TPUSA enters the chat from the right wing and goes, "Wow, well, we're going to we're going to counter signal, and we're going to make one." And so it's like already right there, I heard the propaganda machine start spinning up in the background, and I'm like, this entire thing is now going to be tomorrow. Right? Which halftime show did you watch? You better tell me right now, and you better tell me that it was the bestest, greatest halftime show of all time, and why you did that. Tell me you watched the MAGA halftime show. If you didn't, you don't like America anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I am so done with it that I checked out. I opted out. My wife and I put on Food YouTube, and we watched how to make the best pizza in the world. Like that's what we ended up doing. And I was like, I'm opting out of this one. And every single person that I talked to, right, in my tight circles, it was almost the same mentality of just like, no, I didn't participate, and I don't care. And to me, I was like, that's a good thing. I think that's a good sign, and I'd be interested to get your guys' take on that.
Well, can I just say, I was at you guys know from speaking off camera before, I was at a cheer competition this weekend, which is the worst planning ever by UCA Cheer, which is like the big national cheer thing. So screw you guys. But at the same time, the Super Bowl's going on last night. We're there for 4 days. Not all cheer, but I was curious about that, Chris, right? Because like you've got the two competing things. You got the Super Bowl. There's lots of polarizing stuff going on. I love football more than I love people. Most people, not you guys, but like.
You can love him.
I just didn't care, and I didn't care about the halftime show. And I mean, part of it's because I'm cheering on my daughter, and we're like, obviously that's more important. But like, I was so curious about how that would all play out, and it's playing out about as you suggested. Like, oh, did you see the ratings and the views on this versus that? And did you see this versus that? And like it's like, guys, like that. I feel like we're just consistently missing the point. Yes. On almost every issue we talk about, which is hopefully what this show brings to you guys who are watching and listening, because it's like there is a hefty, really big, sizable portion in between where most of us land, and it's just not where these guys say or these guys say. And I gotta say, like I was a little concerned about missing the Super Bowl. I've never missed a Super Bowl in my entire life. I didn't miss a damn thing last night, basically. And. It is, but like it was like, and it's not because the Seahawks defense was suffocating and they played a great game and like it's like it was. It's none of those things. Like I mean, some of those things are true, but like I just like it was actually like a good wake up call for me. Like you know what, like you can miss a game. You can miss this, you can miss that, and like the narratives that are being fed into you, like what the expectations are, like. I walked away from it as like, I don't care how good the Kid Rock concert was. I don't care how bad or good the Bad Bunny thing was. I don't care about the outcome because my team wasn't in it. Like, I still care because I love ball, but like, it all worked out. Like, it's again, step back and look at how all this stuff works, and it just kind of makes sense. And I think that you'll land on a better a better place. Like, I think you'll land on a better place than you were 5 minutes ago or last year or 5 months ago, whatever it is. And man, I hope everyone gets there, because it was an eye-opening thing for me. It's like, this is okay. Like, this is actually all right.
Right, and Chris is right, because when the announcement of Bad Bunny, and then you get Kid Rock and the gang coming in as your alternative, it's all to push people back into their corners. That's all it was meant to do.
Yeah.
The music industry, it drives me crazy, because the people that get pushed are artists that don't have that much talent. Bad Bunny is an example of that. Every white chick who lives out in suburbia thinks it was the greatest show that they've ever seen, because they don't know the difference. They were just told that he hates Trump and it's going to be the best.
Right.
I viewed it a little bit differently. I watched it, and I kind of felt uncomfortable with what I was watching and the portrayal of Puerto Ricans, because you had Bad Bunny giving a trophy to a little kid, and then you have him go through every stereotype that growing up in South Florida I know about. Going to
They
a
had
coffee window.
EBT as part of his set.
Yeah. Sashaying through sugarcane and seeing the workers working to cut down sugarcane. Other ones climbing electric poles to tap into free electricity. It was just, it was really, really strange. It felt like a humiliation ritual almost for Puerto Ricans. But I know that it's taken differently, as far as if you're not familiar, if you've never met a Puerto Rican, or you think that, what a great lifestyle have. They wear the Guadalajara shirts, and they have the khaki pants and the straw hats. Oh, weren't those so cool? And then they have an old pickup truck there, which makes everybody think of Cuba. And whenever people talk about Cuba, they're like, "Oh, I gotta go to Cuba, man. The cars are so cool. I gotta check them out." And that's the mindset that they've created for themselves.
Yeah.
So that whole halftime ceremony was just it was just pushing the narrative that, oh, it's so peaceful down there, everything's so nice. And then, you have Big Papi, who's in a casino, who gets shot by a local drug dealer because Big Papi's laying the rails to the drug dealer's girlfriend. It's not a safe place. And this idealistic look of what's going on there, it just reinforces everybody who's out in the suburbs who doesn't understand how the world really is. And to me, like I said, I felt a bit uncomfortable, because if you take any other race and did that, there would be so much outrage over it. But now people were forced to no matter what it was, if you're on the left, it was the greatest halftime show that you've ever seen. Even though you have a no-talent mumble rapper who's just kind of walking through, the sugarcane fields with a football. It was just really odd.
Yeah, he really is side. I'm sure you guys have better points than I do, but like, he is super low talent. And if you like his music, whatever. If you like the beats, the whatever. The dude's just not super talented, and he's welcome to his opinions on America and American politics and all of that stuff. I just don't think he's really that good. I just don't. And yeah, I like country music. I like rock music. Like, that's not my jam. I still just don't think he's that good.
Right, and I love Caribbean music with horns. One of my favorite albums of all time is...
You love horns in general.
Yes, is Billy Gibbons' Perfecto Mundo solo album that he did, where he got percussionists from Cuba and had horns, and with that Texas guitar, I thought was great. Buena Vista Social Club, the Cuban band, one of my favorites of all time, and I can't remember his name right now. He died in, 1970. He was a blind artist from Cuba, again, with a bunch of horns, lots of talent. This is
lost my virginity to that artist, yeah.
I can't. I'm having a brain fart on his name. But to me, the point is, the recording industry is so screwed when they just push people who don't have talent forward because they can't control it. P. Diddy said it himself. He only wants people that lack talent on his label because they're easier to control.
Yeah. Well, he's doing well for himself now, too, which is good. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but he's one of those that served his purpose, and now he gets pushed aside. All these vampires do that shit with whoever it is. Oh, you want to make some money? Hell, okay, here's the game that you're going to play, and you're going to do it, but when we're done with you, we're done with you.
well,
Brandon, I'm sure you have a better point than I do.
Oh, I think what you said is good. It made me think, Tom. Like, who do we get next after Jeffrey Epstein? Is one of the questions that I think of when you say that. But I did watch the halftime show on X as well, and I noticed one thing. Right, it was in San Francisco or Santa Clara, right? And it was in the 49ers stadium. The colors for the Super Bowl this year were oddly rainbow. And there was a lot of like gay stuff as well in the Super Bowl, like the dance. There was dudes grinding on each other, and to go back to it too, like you were talking about all of these cliche things about like Puerto Rico. Like I get it, this is the reality, sugar cane farms, all these other things. But like at the end of the day, I see this is like the silent injection back of all of this crap that we're trying to move away from especially over the Biden administration. The slow creep back in of identity politics, right? This is a collectivized notion of what Puerto Ricans are. Meanwhile, I've served with a lot of Puerto Ricans who don't ascribe to that sort of thing, right? And this is again like back here it is in San Francisco, back in with the LGBTQ stuff again. Just the constant focus on identity politics. And what better person to do something like that than essentially an any man who could be in here who speaks Spanish and just so happens to be from one of these countries or the other, and introduce all of this stuff. And the other thing I noticed too is that people notice that when he said God bless America, he said God bless America, and then he named every country right after that in the Americas. He mentioned Central America, South America, he even mentioned Canada, and he said all these countries, like essentially like one, right? Like we're in one hemisphere, all of us. And that sort of made me wonder about that too. Like that's extremely intentional, and it's not a way that a lot of people think about America when they think of America. It's like, well, this almost screams Trump foreign policy. If we're all one America, right? And then he is on national TV saying, God bless America. And then he like names every country in America under the American flag. And here's all these other countries. And did you notice too, that the chick carrying the American flag took off in front of everybody too? I noticed this, right? Like, it's just like, there was a lot of symbolism, Tom, to the point I'm trying to make here. And I'm sure that all of you guys picked up on it, but it sounds like you watched the show too.
Yeah, I thought it was strange that he didn't go through the Caribbean islands. I was waiting for him to say Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago. Never heard
Little
it.
St. John. Yeah. Well, I think it's coming back. It's making a comeback is the point I'm trying to make here. It's like they're trying to reclaim territory.
Right, and also too, Bad Bunny. If I can see having him as your halftime performer, if the Super Bowl is in Miami, I get that. I understand just the proximity, but San Francisco, that doesn't make sense to me at all. I mean, you look at the biggest bands from San Francisco. I know that they're almost dead now, but you have like the Grateful Dead. You've got Metallica. You've got shows that are key bands to that area or key performers to that area, and then to pluck somebody from halfway across the country or the world and place them there, it was an obvious choice to be disruptive, because getting back to the game, there was no story about the game. Leading up to the game, everything was about a halftime performance. There was nothing about the game. If you're a football fan, as I know Drew is, and you guys are, there was nothing. There was no talk really about the defense, what we were going to expect. I'm sure on some other podcasts where they're like a lot of hardcore football fans, who do their shows toward the fans would be talking about it. But if you get your sports news from ESPN, it's, are you going to really listen to Mina Kimes and kind of chime in about what she thinks is going to happen in the game? So again, to me, it was just keep everybody divided, and to hell with the football fan, because the NFL is spreading out across the world. It is now a global event. It is not an American event. And the fans that we had that helped make the NFL to where it is today, they can all go to hell because they are not our fan base anymore, and they're not the ones we're going to cater to.
Correct. More
Going
gun
to
violence.
Australia next year. Yeah, expanding further. Yeah.
And Roger, what's his nuts, like all but said
Goodell.
that. Goodell, right? Like basically, yes, we were bringing in a Puerto Rican artist because it's like we're trying to, widen out our
What's
base.
the country
do-
that's hosted a bunch of football games recently in Europe? Ireland.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
They have a massive immigration issue going on there. Just saying, and it's one of those places that will take the money that the NFL is going to fork over, and then the NCAA as well to go have games over there. Just saying.
I want to throw a couple drive-by points
Well,
in here that don't have a lot of analysis to them, but just one, you don't watch the NFL halftime show because you think that it's overly politicized. I don't watch the NFL halftime show because I'm tired of having homosexual degeneracy shoved down my throat. We're not the same, right? But the idea,
There was some of that, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I remember going back to, because we were talking about Janet Jackson and Tittygate the other night too, right? Because
Right.
didn't you say
I've got that
didn't
on
you say,
VHS. On
you
Access,
do
yeah.
a recording of it on VHS.
I do.
Your dad recorded
Such a
it.
better time. Such a better
dude.
time.
It's great, but I do think that it's absolutely hilarious. And again, I'm pumped up a little bit that the idea is like, the powers that be over politicized all this stuff. They made everything political. They took away our bread and circuses, the neo-Marxist, and they crammed, the politicization into everything that is in American life now. And then now they're getting angry at you for not consuming product because it's like, here's this product that I overly politicized that you didn't want. Why aren't you consuming product? Damn it! And you're like, because I don't
Yeah.
want your nasty product.
Well, it's so clear that they're doing it too because it's so easy. Like there's so many areas you could go, and I know this is an obvious point, but like it's an important point too because when it comes to the biggest watched sporting event on the globe, certainly in America, but really, I mean, it's the freaking Super Bowl, right? Like
Yeah, that in the World
you'd
Cup.
think that you'd want to like please the masses. How do we please the most people? Okay, what's safe? Do we go Chris Stapleton? Do we go this? Do we go that? Do we go who? But they just consistently show that they don't care about us, and that's the big issue. And again, it's the tough conundrum that I find myself in being a lover of ball who like I care so much about it, and yet I know that they're like totally against all of us. Like their model and their growth plan doesn't really involve us. It's like just pick somebody that everyone likes, and I say everyone, not everyone. Not everyone loves country or old school rock or this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. But pick something that like ties in nostalgia or Americana, and just go with
Creed.
it. Like you're gonna piss. Do you want to? Yeah. Like, do you want to piss off 80% or do you want to please 80 and piss off 20? Like it's just such a simple concept, and to go with someone who doesn't sing in English the vast majority of the time, if any of the time, I don't know the percentage, but it's certainly the vast majority of the time, and then to speak about it like Goodell did in multiple press conferences, like you're just missing, like you literally are telling your audience F you time after time, and that's just such a bad business model. Like it's not smart. I for the life of me, I don't get it. And like you're pandering to a state in this case, and they're really not. They're pandering to the illegal immigration element. They're pandering to all these different audiences.
Yes.
But when you just break down Puerto Rico, like Puerto Rico, a lot of Puerto Rico doesn't want to be a part of the U.S. And I think that I talked to a guy on my show. Actually, it was a separate interview for an unrelated brand. Like there's a lot of people, like they don't want to, economically speaking, in terms of sovereignty, in terms of all these things, like, and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't care if Puerto Rico's a state, and that's not to say I don't like Puerto Rico. I've met lots of great Puerto Ricans. We all have. There's some great
They're
spots
Americans.
you can vacation there, all that. Yeah, 100%. But like, it's we just get into majoring in the minors and all these issues. It's like let's just major in the majors, particularly when it comes to the Super Bowl, to the this, to
Right.
the that, to all these things we rally around. But they're obviously going the opposite direction for the very, very distinct and clear purpose of dividing. And again, it goes back to how we started this conversation. If you're not seeing that, like you're missing it. Like, is James Taylor an exciting halftime Super Bowl show? Not at all. Is James Taylor divisive? No. Like, you put someone like him or
Fucking
whoever the hell
Nickelback,
it might
bro.
be,
Dave Matthews
like
Band.
Could you
yeah,
imagine?
that's the like it's just that's not as divisive as what they've been doing. It's very, very
It's
purposeful.
on
All that to
purpose.
say.
Well,
Well,
I
the
think it
thing I was
ties
going to
into.
say, it's
Go ahead.
was sorry, I was to your point, Drew. I was just going to say it's easier to change the meaning behind symbols that already exist than to present new symbols and get you to buy into them. And that's exactly what's gone on over the last few
Yeah.
years. It's easier to do this. They're not, to your point, they are not appealing to you anymore or me. They are appealing to the
No.
larger class of people that they're trying to bring in. And I make this point all the time. Why do you let immigration happen to the degree that they're letting it happen? Because you're creating a peasant class. That's 100% what it is. You're creating something that,
Yeah.
or an entire population of people who are going to be and want to be dependent on you because you've made their life better by just letting them in the country. Like this is literally the doctrine of neo-feudalism at play is what you're talking about. All of these things that are traditionally American. Think of, the whole woke go broke thing. Like, yeah, is that like a big right-wing talking point? But it has some actual solid footing. Like, think of what happened with some of these companies like Budweiser or Jack Daniels. They're trying to redo their image now because their entire base is like, fuck you, we're dead serious. Like this, you're not gonna,
Yeah.
you may as well
Yeah.
just shit on the American flag. Well, the NFL sort of represents something like that, but there's just so much money in advertising and everything that goes into it that it's become a politically captured thing. And it's a symbol of traditional Americana. When you think like baseball is another example of this, it's just so much easier to change the meaning of these symbols. And sorry, Chris, I just want to say something real fast about your point. And this is for everybody listening. Chris and I know, and I'm sure that Drew does too, and Tom does too. Your favorite right-wing talk show host who has like hundreds of thousands of followers, I'm going to tell you right now that person 100% takes money from somebody to say certain things. They do. It's not just the
100%.
left. And that there are people who
So
work
gay.
for these. Yes, exactly. There are people who work for them who want that money and will say whatever it is homeboy on top wants them to say. So just understand that like the Andy Griffith image going on over here in Mayberry is largely an act for a lot of people. I just want to say that. And I've seen how the sausage is made. So is Chris.
Yeah, I was
It's
just
so,
gonna say.
and they love the sausage. It's so true. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No. That was a good one. Clip that. I was just gonna say, and I don't want to steal your thunder too much, Tom. So if you want to take the ball and run with it, that I think it dovetails into the point that you made all the time that the peasants are being priced out of enjoying sports. It's not for them anymore. And Drew was bringing that up when you're talking about, it's like, well, do they want to, a good business model would cater to the 80%, not the 20%. But look at the people that are sitting in the stands, and those are the people that they're trying to make happy. And when the Super Bowl tickets were like what $6,000 for the freaking
the shitty
nosebleeds,
ones, dude.
it's not.
And the
It is not
NCAA
average.
championship, the same thing.
Right. It is not average Joe sitting up there. So they are absolutely pandering to who they think their clientele is now. But yeah.
No, it's 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Silver said it himself when he talked about, all the different platforms that you have to purchase to watch the NBA. He said, well, there's always highlights you can watch. And that's the model. Live events are going to be for the elites eventually, and then the highlights are going to be for the peasants. And to hell with the peasants. And the peasants, for the longest time, have been your backbone.
Yeah. Well, even last night, I forget her name. I didn't get to watch much of the game because of the cheer competition we were at. But like, I got to see clips during it, and then at the end, I got to see the trophy presentation. And you've got the owner, the chick owner. I forget her name. Don't care. I'm sure you're maybe an average person. Probably not. You're probably terrible. But she's referencing the 12th man in Seattle, kind of like Texas A&M has the 12s as they refer to them. And she's like, I'm talking to all the 12s in the crowd and this, that, and they're just like, they're not here. They can't afford to be here. And I'm not saying that you're all poor Seattle, like part of you are because you started the Chaz because you're absolute idiots. But the 12s aren't filling the stadium in the Super Bowl. Like, stop it. Like, they're not here. These are people who don't even care about either of these teams because they're the only ones who can afford to go to the game. And they're going not because they care about the game, they're going because they care about the social status and their Instagram posts to be like, I was here at the Super Bowl
Yep.
and I had this hot dog and this, this champagne in my suite, which is
Didn't chew
quite the
once.
combination. And to be clear, like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like they're not those people aren't here. Like if the Minnesota Vikings ever went to a Super Bowl, we've been to 4, we've never won one, but if we ever went to one, I wouldn't go, one, because I don't want to walk away disappointed at 0-5. But two, I can't afford to go. Like I would never be able to afford to go, and I do pretty darn well for myself. Like I can't afford to go to a freaking Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? Like I referenced the Indiana Miami game. It's like the nosebleeds for the college football national championship were between 4,000 and 6,000 for the nosebleeds. It's like that's no one can afford to go anymore. Tom, you're so right. Like we're being priced out.
Yeah, the Super Bowl and other sporting events have turned into the Met Gala of sports.
They have 100%. That's a great analogy.
And the messaging
And I have a
couldn't
family of
be
6,
more,
by the way.
yeah, the messaging couldn't be more on the nose because as you're there, they take the camera and flip to who's sitting in the boxes. Let's see who's in attendance today.
Yeah.
Oh, Justin Bieber's on his phone. Check it. I was like, what? I don't freaking care. Other than
Yeah.
it pisses me off because, oh man, I could never afford to go do that. Like you're actually making me angrier by showing me that, like who else in attendance.
But how would I know that Lewis Hamilton was there with Kim Kardashian?
Right.
Fair
Again,
point.
I was like,
consume
Lewis,
product,
your F1
Tom.
season is
Consume
about to die.
product.
I'm sorry,
actually,
Chris.
oh, you just said consume product. I was just going to say that everybody likes to call the Super Bowl and the NFL and all these sports like bread and circuses anyway, like the old Roman thing. But the one thing that ties into this that I think is really funny is that those games were free. The Coliseum was free. The Hippodrome was free for the chariot races. And there was a really big riot under Justinian I called the Nika riots, where the chariot teams or chariot racers basically got the crowd to revolt against Justinian, and they almost burned down Constantinople. That will never happen because it's not the bread and circuses crowd going to these games again. And I don't mean like literally burn down the stadium or burn down the city. What I'm talking about is the people that are at these events and the influence that these teams and the leadership have over people. It's no longer the peasant group. It's no longer the people like us who want to go to those games because it's a traditional thing. We can't just, it's not like, oh, we're going to drop $5,000 a seat and go to this every year. It's not the traditional peasant class as it were us, right? Who they're appealing to anymore. It's a group of people who can afford to go to these things, and then a group of people who that group of people is influencing and can keep suppressed. Like this classic idea of bread and circuses doesn't exist anymore. It's not something to just prop up and shuffle all the riffraff in because we're gonna make them happy over the next couple of days because we're gonna give all these people in the 100-degree weather fermented wine and rotten bread and see what the fuck happens with ergot poisoning. Like that's not what's gonna happen anymore. Like it isn't. These are paid events. It's not traditional bread and circuses anymore. It's the Met Gala. To your point, it's not even. I don't even think it's a valid reference anymore to call it bread and circuses. It's just like a superficial way to look at it.
No.
And I
you
can
nailed it.
guarantee you that most of the celebs that are there aren't paying to be there.
I was the point
No,
that I was
dude,
going to make
solid.
too, because that pisses me off more than anything because for whatever reason, the richer you get, the more free stuff gets given to you. I can't understand it. You see freaking, Mark Zuckerberg walking around. He dresses like he shops at the Goodwill, in like his baggy hoodies and like a low pair of like Nike sneakers or whatever. Walking around in his classic shorts, like, and then it's the people like in the downtown inner city that are walking around and they got to have their Dolce and Gabbana and their brand name bags and like all that stuff. It's like these guys get paid or get given tickets to go to the Super Bowl so the NFL can cut to them, right, and show you who all's in attendance. And meanwhile, oh man, you're getting me all kinds of worked up, dude, because it's the way
It's
the
like
system is.
the mechanism though that has been the reason why there's all this advertising, right, and why they show celebrities and famous people on these things is to get you to buy shit. Like to your point, Chris, about consume this stuff.
Yeah.
But people can't
Consume
do it
product.
anymore. They can't. The middle class isn't going to spend money on this stuff anymore. They understand they're broke. Inflation
No.
is terrible. They can't. So it's like the mechanism itself is broke. It's like what is that? There's an analogy for that where the system continues even when it's broken, and people continue to pretend like the system is working even though it's falling apart all around them. It's like that piece that hold the glue us that holds this together. It's broken now. I can't afford to live this way. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm actually angry at these people when otherwise I'd be indifferent because I could go buy Nike shoes or whatever. Like, that's it. That mechanism is broken. That's that disconnect.
Well, the average American family, according to the Google, is 3.15, right?
Okay.
So if you figure an average ticket price for these games is $5,000, you can get them for way more than that. You can't get them for a whole lot less than that. 3.15 times that's $750. Like, so you're trying to tell me that for a family of three to go to this game, you've got a wife and a husband in normal land, and this day and age is probably a husband and a husband. But like you've got that and a kid, and you're going to go to that, and that doesn't include room and board or hotel. It doesn't include food and drink.
Airfare.
Doesn't include a rental car. Like doesn't include any of that stuff. Like you shave that down to a third of that. And it's like, I'm saying, sorry, kids, we're not going. Like that's ridiculous.
Would
Like,
you guys like to go to college
at the,
or go?
yeah,
To the Super Bowl once.
it's utter insanity. Yeah,
I remember a couple of years
for most likely not your team.
Well, yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, or several years ago now, my wife and I were visiting my family in Florida, and it just so happened to be the year that the Niners were playing, and they were playing at Tampa in the Super Bowl. And we were like, oh, dude, let's just go. Let's go. Like, fuck it, dude. We'll just drive from the Panhandle to Tampa and go to the game. And I had never, ever once looked up ticket prices to the Super Bowl, and I was like, we ain't going, bro. This ain't happening.
Yeah.
Like, unless we want to buy a Nissan Altima brand new, to just go, like, it's not happening. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Just a little anecdotal joke there, but
It is.
no, it is. The mechanism itself is broken.
It's true.
It makes me wonder. Do they know that, or are they catching up to this? And then what is it?
I think
going
they
to be?
totally know it.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen moving forward then, right, Thomas? It looks like you were like thinking along the same lines. Like, this isn't going to continue working.
Yeah, I see a parallel with sports and the mechanism being broken there, and I also see the mechanism being broken with the government. And it's just kind of like, limping along right now, and it's held together by kind of us going, well, this is the way the system should work, but I don't know if it should, but what's going to happen if it totally breaks down? So I guess, it would be okay if there is child sacrifice because I don't want to lose the house that I have. What's my alternative? And so now you're put in this position of if I just put my head down and go along to get along and ignore everything else that's going on around me, I'll be okay. But sadly, and I know this sounds very black-pilled because it is, there's just no way out at this point. The system is so broken right now in every aspect of our lives, in American life, in European life right now, that it just everything seems to be crumbling, and everybody is just kind of like using a Band-Aid over a gaping chest wound.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%, and I want to add a layer on top of that because you also have the aging demographic of America, which is aiding to this problem. And it's like as the boomers who are still holding on to this power, right, at the top levels, the Mitch McConnells and Lindsey Grahams and like all these people, yeah, they are. And
Is he still alive?
I heard he was in the hospital, so I don't. Yeah, somebody should do a health and welfare on him because I don't actually know. But. No, where was I going with that? Even Donald Trump made a statement the other day because he was talking. It's all good. He was talking about the affordability issue and how he's going to tackle it. And he brought that argument up where he's like, well, the thing is, we can't just crush the value in the housing market because then people that are in the housing market, like they don't want to see their net worth like crushed, right, as the value of their house goes down and stuff like that. But to your point, Tom, like most of the people that are older are going, yeah, well, it's like, I don't want to lose my house, and I have this nice job, and this other stuff that kind of keeps me invested in the system. The millennial generation and under are screaming and trying to tell people right now, I can't even afford to buy a house. What system are you talking about preserving at this point? And they're saying it, and they're trying to say it loud, and people aren't listening to them, which is why you have a Donald Trump voter who also voted for Mamdani. Like, that's the thing that happened.
If you think about this as like a car, everything you're talking about, Chris, like the institution writ large is a car. It's traveling at 100 miles an hour down the highway. You slam on the brakes, it still goes, right? So all this institutional inertia, momentum, as it were, is still going for a little bit. Do you think that's what we're in? That the brakes have been put on, the car's just moving still because there's still all that inertia, and eventually it will stop? Like, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it, honestly. And I think I really think the next domino to fall is going to be here in about 10 years. A lot of the boomer generation is going to start passing away. I mean, that's just generational turnover. Right. And then as the levers of power fall into the hands of it should be X right now, but Generation X largely checked out. I'm just saying things that are not, like casting dispersion.
We kind of slipped through the cracks. We just
that too, yeah. But as the levers, as the levers of power are passed to millennials are telling you right now, I don't like the system the way that it is. It needs to change, and a lot of people are going socialism route with it because I can't afford anything, and other people are going different ways. But they're all at least united in telling you, status quo isn't going to be maintained. So
right,
yeah, no, I think you're right, man. Millennial. I'm going to start calling myself Gen Y actually, because I hate the millennial term because it means just so much negative shit. So I'm Gen Y. I think that there's a group of us who have escaped that just because of military service and things like that. Like there are things that we're afforded because we decided to do certain things, but we're not the large swath of our generation. And I think that there's this problem that you're talking about will get worse here really soon. And you know what's really great for economic and demographic and population problems? War. War is really good for that. And frankly, like what are we barreling towards all over the place, right? Like, what does America do really well? War. What do you got? I mean, that's what I think. How are we going to fix this shit? War.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's the last thing on the menu. It's like, okay, we've done this, and that. Okay, you know what? Who's our bad guy right now? Who's the bad guy du jour?
Right.
Oh yeah,
China.
Yeah, let's go after them.
Well, biolabs.
It is. Yeah.
Unless you're Israeli, then you get to go home.
Hey, man, the French and Israeli passport thing, dude, that's weird to me. And then, so Chris and I had a conversation, just like full disclosure for everybody listening. We had an interview earlier today where we talked to somebody about this. So that's why, like, this is so fresh on the brain for both Chris and I. But why is Ori Solomon out walking around? Why did he have 467 phone calls with Jijun Taimaishu last year? That's more than one phone call a day that he had with this person. Why did he get caught illegally wire transferring money to homeboy's wife back home? What the fuck? And he's out here walking around, and he's got an Israeli and a French passport. That's information that the police let out. It's not being hidden. So what's the point, man? Like, what is it? Why?
Oh, Ori, he's a very lonely guy. He's got his own Airbnb. Weren't pathogens. They were just petri dishes with his own seed named after children he'll never have. So he needs to come home. He's a very, very, very lonely guy.
If Ebola wasn't such a terrible disease, it'd be a pretty name for a girl. Come here, Ebola.
Yeah, and this comes on the heels of that other scumbag getting busted in Las Vegas, who's in part of Israeli cybersecurity. It's like, oh, sorry, you got to go home.
Which one are we talking about?
The Israeli dude in Las Vegas who was trying to get like a 12-year-old girl, and it was like, oh yeah, you need to leave. This was back in December, November, I think. Yeah.
This sounds vaguely familiar. You'll have to forgive me. It's not ringing a bell completely, but the point, that you're making, Tom, is that it just seems like America is the place to come if you're a foreign national and you want to run a crime syndicate because it's so easy to purchase things, and the way the law is written is meant to protect the innocent person from the sharks, as it were, even though the sharks are the ones who use it the best, because most people who would want to get into a business and need those protections are too good or don't care enough to do these things, that the system itself just winds up defending the people it was meant to protect you against. Like, it's crazy. The Chinese they do. I mean, like, we can sit here and say they're part of a larger ploy at play, and I think they are, but that they are 100% able to just come here and bite the hand that feeds easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like as an American citizen, I feel like I'm a hospice patient. And I'm laying in my bed and I can't move, and I'm seeing all these strangers come in and take my shit. And there's nothing I can do about it other than just go, hey, what are you doing? As they walk off with my TV, as they walk off with books, whatever I have of any value to them, they're taking. It seems like everybody who has any sort of like business power or any kind of power has told the entire world, hey, the U.S. is for sale. We're having an estate sale.
Absolutely.
Whatever you want,
estate sale.
It's at bargain basement prices. Come on in. If you've got some pathogens to release, go ahead. It's a fire sale. Whatever you want, take. You want farmland? We got that. You want a business? We got that.
To your point, Brandon, right? And I'm going to draw this through line, but I'm not going to make a direct accusation. Just ask a question here. Right, but to your point about war being a great fixer of the economy, there's a lot of things. It helps drive in groups back together because now it's the enemy from without, not the enemy from within, right? And greases the wheels and all that stuff that we're talking about. We were saying through 4 years of a Biden presidency, you have no idea what just came over the border. We were talking about China. We pointed out at the time, there are giant groups of Chinese military-age males that are walking across the border and standing there waiting for the CBP bus to pull up. And then they just get them on and they take them to the processing center. And I'm like, it's happening right in front of you this entire time. And to your point, Tom, about the estate sale, it's like, I'm not saying the U.S. threw the door wide open and was just like, get in here because we sure could use another 9/11. Just saying. But I am saying they completely opened the border and then turned a blind eye to everything that happened there. And we've also had dudes on the podcast that like showed us where private military contractors were being used to traffic children across the southern border under the Biden presidency.
Specifically Arizona, Nevada, and California. Shocking.
So,
yeah.
That stuff happened. 100% happened.
Right. But also at the same time that's happening, the evil sickness of it is, oh, what are you, a xenophobe? What are you, a bigot?
Yeah,
you don't want people with brown skin coming in? It's
you don't
like,
want a
no,
sugarcane
man.
Super Bowl halftime show?
Right. I don't want people who I don't know coming in.
Right.
That's why I don't go to bars and strike up a conversation with some dude and say, hey, why don't you come back to my place? I've got an extra room.
I make a mean mac and cheese.
Yeah. And while you're there, take all my shit.
Shit my toilet.
There was
Well, you're either a country or you're not.
Right. That reminds me of a time I was hanging out. I was bacheloring out here for about 3 months out here I'm just south of Tacoma, Washington, before my family moved out here. I was waiting for military housing to open up. So one of these weekends, I'm over at a local pub, local bar and grill, watching some football. I think it was like a Sunday afternoon. And I remember striking up a conversation with a dude. We were talking about football and blah, blah, blah. And then I remember this guy was like, hey, man, do you want to come out to my truck and listen to this song? Like, there's this really cool song I want to show you. And I remember looking at him and just being like, that is the weirdest thing any dude has ever asked me. And I said, no, I don't want to go to
man,
your
you
truck
want
and
me to jerk you off to
listen
Linkin Park?
to a country. And this dude got legit like angry. It's like, why are you making this weird, man? I just asked you to come listen to a song with me. And I'm like, why are you making this weird, man? Like, I said no. So, such a strange interaction.
That's
in my truck.
You saved yourself there.
I agree.
It's just it's like the common sense test, man.
You're gonna get roofied, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're gonna get Bill Cosby.
Something
Absolutely.
like that.
I once asked.
Yes.
I once had a guy ask me in the lobby of a hotel, it was a Residence Inn, if he's like, oh man, I really screwed up. I bought this really nice steak, but the room that I have doesn't have a kitchen. Do you mind if I cook my steak in your room? And I'm like, are you insane? Do you want me to dress up like your wife too while you cook a steak in my hotel room? The next thing I know, he's going to be filleting me.
Exactly.
I've seen
For real.
Dateline. I know how this shit works. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
No.
It's the same, getting back to the whole Epstein thing. It's like, oh, you know what? Hey, honey, I've got this really crazy friend who knows everybody, and I think it'll really help me, kind of network with a lot of people if I go to his island for the weekend. I think it's going to be a huge party.
Just
Hey, in fairness, they networked the shit out of things. Like they came out on top somehow.
networking was done.
That's like
Networking was done.
network
There was lots
ever.
of
Even to the
exchanges.
point where Hillary Clinton had somebody from her crew send an email to Jeffrey Epstein wanting to know where the exhumed remains of Nimrod are.
Right.
Now, why would she want that information?
Why was Jeffrey Epstein poking around MIT and Harvard in their experimental physics sections? Like, why? Why was he talking
Also,
to people?
Ohio State, just some donations. I'm just saying, like,
Right. Well,
sorry,
fuck Ohio State.
you
Not
had a
even-
good
yeah,
point. I
no.
just,
Right.
No, you're
Amen.
right.
But
Yeah.
Brandon brings up a good point. These are some of the things, some of the files that are being released that are being pushed aside, which, don't get me wrong, child trafficking is horrible, and we should definitely pull the strings on all of those. But all the other than the salacious sort of, the acid and sulfuric acid and everything else, there's all these other tributaries that he was into. Like technology, like even mysticism with Nimrod. Why would Hillary Clinton, why would she be interested, or why would he be interested in extracting the DNA from Nimrod?
It sounds very Nazi Thule society, doesn't it, though?
Yes. They were doing the exact same thing. I don't know if they were going after Nimrod, but I'm sure if they came across, I just like saying the name Nimrod. I'll
It's a
switch
fun
over
name.
to Giggle.
clearly, yeah.
Gilgamesh.
But
there we go.
Francisco.
Isn't it weird too how this Norwegian archaeologist in 2003 was like, "Hey man, I've discovered the remains of the Nephilim, and we're about to exhume everything in Iraq." And it's like, oh no, just wait a second, we're gonna go bomb it first, and then we're gonna put a base around it.
This is.
You know what's interesting too? Go ahead, Brandon.
No, Drew, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, what's interesting too, going back to the earlier part of our conversation on this Epstein stuff, is, it all kind of just like goes away and goes to nowhere, and everyone who's involved in it is safe. But what's kind of good and bad at the same time is, like, you've concurrently got the whole Epstein file stuff that's come up, we've known about forever. Everyone is clamoring for answers on. We were promised we were going to get answers on, then we were told we were idiots for wanting answers on it. And now it appears we're not going to get answers on it. But concurrently to all of that, there's also like this uptick, which is great. Like, it's great for humanity. It's great for, just doing the right thing, the spiritual element of it, all of it, in child trafficking, anti-child trafficking organizations. Tim Tebow doing great work. All these different organizations doing work. He's obviously one of the biggest. And Tim's great. Like, he's an amazing person. Like, and even if you hate the Gators, which you should, like, you should love Tim Tebow. But like,
I do.
There's all this energy and like emphasis. Like, did you hear what's going on with child trafficking, and hear the stats, and like, you should be appalled, and you should. And then at the same time, and then the Epstein stuff's presented, and this is not true for everyone. And some of you in the audience are like, "Yeah, I'm on Tebow's side and the anti-child trafficking side, and I'm on the release the file side." I get it. Like, there's a lot of you, but like, there's also the people who are like, "We should totally support this ministry or this charity who's going and doing anti-child trafficking stuff." And then you're an absolute idiot for believing any of this other stuff. It's like, hold on, like you just came to this realization that all this is real, and you're totally on board with this, and then we bring up this, which has like equally as as much evidence, and you think we're absolutely Looney Tunes for bringing it up. And it's just it's just a fascinating like people study to be like, okay, so you support Tim and what he's doing, and you should give him money, and you should give his people money. And I know a lot of people who work for him, and I'm not saying that as a name job, like I'm saying like you should support what they're doing. They do awesome stuff. And then at the same time, you're like, Drew, Brandon, Chris, Tom, you're idiots for talking about this Epstein stuff. It's like, it's the same damn thing. Like, we're talking about the same issue here.
Yeah. One's tied to politics and the other isn't.
Yeah. You're going to wreck the midterms if you keep talking about it. If I hear that again or see that post, I'm going to lose my shit.
I know.
Well, because
I'm happily unaffiliated.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, but I mean, to your point, Drew, like you're absolutely right. It's like, hey, Karen, you just got here. How about read the room just a little bit before you start telling us what we should and shouldn't do? You just got here, sweetheart.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well,
and we love you, Karen. We want you to be smarter. You're just not. You're just not yet. You could be. You could be.
God gave you one mouth and 2 ears for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Nick Saban, looking at you, brother.
I love Nick Saban. I do.
That people don't recognize that reference. He always brings that up. Like,
he does. No, you're right.
He was. If you were just born and you don't pay attention to football, Nick Saban is a prophet from older times, and he speaks wisdom.
Rage bait videos are some of my favorite videos of Nick Saban crash outs. I love Nick Saban crash outs. To your point, though, Tom, about Nimrod and all the weird physics stuff. To me, man, like it just says that every institution that has worked to garner your trust over the past, 50, 60, 70 years of our lifetime, generations that are still around, has a need to be infiltrated by the evil tendrils of whatever the fuck this is, and for some sort of ideological capture and institutional capture so that whatever the government needs or whatever this group of people needs is at the ready because there's somebody in that organization that's been blackmailed. And I do, right, as a Christian man, think that there is a demonic presence and evidence of this based on some of these things that, they were into, obviously, aside from the death cult, cannibal, eat children thing, right? Like the Nimrod thing, the physical, like physics. When I say physical, I mean like physics, metaphysics, all of this. I think there's an element of that. But, I just think that it's all institutional capture. Anything that holds up the United States or the world has to have somebody who can be blackmailed with enough power to hold it over somebody's head and make decisions. And then it makes me wonder too, right? If there's any sort of accountability, like one of the ways that this happens when institutions this large are under this much scrutiny is they pick a sacrificial cow to pin as much shit as they can to it and then kill it, right? I don't think Epstein is that person anymore, frankly, because he can't be the sacrificial cow because he's seen as this like arbiter of all of it, so, and he's supposedly dead. So who's the sacrificial cow? That's my question. I don't know.
Man.
Who's the next Epstein, or who do you think will be sacrificed in this latest trove?
Who's all this shit getting pinned on, and then fucking we're gonna negate it by either ruining them, or they're gonna go to jail forever, or they're gonna get the lethal injection, or whatever the fuck that looks like. Who's the sacrificial cow that we kill so that all of this goes away and we can move on?
Well, I think 100%. They tried to set up Trump to be that guy in between presidencies, like desperately, but he wiggled out from under it.
If they had the evidence on him, it would have fucking happened. Frankly,
that's 100%. What I think.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They're so committed to making him go down. If they had it, they would have done it.
Mm-hmm. The problem is it becomes a a self-licking ice cream cone, right? Because the system is basically, to Tom's point earlier, being driven in such a way that we don't try to communicate with people in the middle anymore. It is all about drive people into their corners and then turn out the base. And so because of that, I don't see who could. Jeffrey Epstein represents this like evil, dark unicorn in a way that it's like everybody, regardless of party, can still say, "Oh, effing kids is bad." And they can all go, "That's bad and evil," right? So it represents like a uniquely, everybody can castigate that. I don't see from the current position moving forward the way that everything is just overly politicized and it's got to be party this, party that. Anybody that can fill that gap in the middle that both sides can look at and be like, haha, like that's bad. None of us do that on that level.
Right.
And it's like, yes, you all do.
I
You
think
all do.
Oh no, sorry, because I thought you were wrapping up. My bad.
I was going to say, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but what was that guy's name? Madison Cawthorn was his name. I believe
In
at
the
the time
wheelchair?
that he was when he was elected for North Carolina. I believe that he was represented the youngest guy elected to Congress in U.S.
like
history.
that.
I think so, or he's daggone close. But he went on a podcast with John Lovell, and I remember watching this live, and he just casually dropped that people from the Republican Party were inviting him to drug-filled orgy parties, and he just casually dropped that.
Yeah.
And my boy, the war poet, was like, "Whoa, hold on." Even he, like John Lovell, stepped back for a second. Was like,
We're all
"Whoa,
walking by that.
that kid immediately primaried, gone. Where is he? Somebody should do a health and welfare check on that kid. Where did he go?"
Yeah. He's quietly inserting himself again into stuff I've seen, but
Good.
Brandon, to your question, it's weird because right now, like when Epstein first surfaced, it was like, okay, he is Tony Montana. He's the one that we're all focused on. But now, with the release of everything and all these names redacted in the Department of Justice refusing to investigate any of these people who are about, oh, hey, Jeffrey, I know that the doctor, I wrote you the prescription for, your boner meds. So take one, give me a call, and we'll go have pizza and grape soda. So these are all just sort of like periphery characters. There isn't one sort of Tony Montana or a capo underneath Tony Montana. I guess the closest would be Ghislaine, but
yeah.
I don't know, I don't know if she is that villain that everybody's looking for and has that villain-like cachet to be like, okay, she's in prison, everything's over with,
The villain's everyone, bro.
Time to move on.
That's kind of exactly what I'm getting at. Ghislaine can't fit that. She's already in jail. She even today said she pled the fifth and she asked for clemency, which she should not fucking get at all. Because at that point, you're just going to say whatever the hell you want to fucking get that clemency. But I don't think she could be that person, dude. I don't think she has the fucking wasta to be the sacrificial cow. The person who was the sacrificial cow was Jeffrey Epstein. But even then, what happened to him wasn't good enough. He committed suicide in prison. Like, if this is all manufactured, then that was the wrong fucking move. And that's what I'm kind of, why I asked the question. What I'm kind of afraid of here is I don't think there is a sacrificial cow. I think you're right, Drew. It's everybody. You can't. It's not going to be Trump. It just isn't. Like, that's never going to fucking happen. Yeah. And there's nobody else. There is no other person in this country that anybody is like, that's a super villain, not even like Bill Gates, not political enough, who the fuck else? I don't know. Jeff Bezos,
be Bill Clinton.
And it's not gonna, it can't be Bill Clinton. I don't think, like Democrats are going to protect him too much. Obama will come out. I mean, they don't even like each other. And I think Obama would stick up for him, frankly, but it just, there's not going to, I just don't see, that's what worries me is like, how do we move past this? Like, sacrificial cow type shit is the way you get past it. I don't see that.
You can't, because again, like it is such this is an uncomfortable truth for everyone. But DC, and it's not just DC, our American power structure, which extends far beyond DC, it extends far beyond our borders. In fact, it is such a house of cards that it's not possible. So for the the layman viewer out there or consumer of news, they're like, well, like we'll just get this one person or that person. If we don't have that person, then it doesn't exist, and you're chasing a boogeyman. It's like, no, you're missing the plot here. Like the plot is everyone you thought was good is bad, and if
Right.
any one of them goes down, the entire system goes down, and that's like the most demoralizing and frustrating thing to come to the realization to. But like it's 100% the truth. Like it just is. Like you take down any one of them, and that's and it well, so many people like, well, how come we haven't seen Hillary Clinton, perp walked and arrested? How come we haven't seen Obama and this person or that person? It doesn't have to be Democrat; it could be Republican too.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
that's the hard reality is like if any one of them goes, they all go, and it's not just they all go to jail, it's the entire system that we've operated on for the entire existence of our lives goes away too. Like it is that significant, and that is freaking crazy, but it's absolutely true.
That's what I was getting
Well,
at earlier. Is
yeah.
the status quo better to be maintained, or do you burn it down? That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
where
I mean, to me, burn
the
it
ethical.
down. But
I'm sorry.
I agree 100%. Burn it down.
Yeah, that to me, that's where the ethical question comes in. Is it, and going back to the whole child sacrifice part of it, is child sacrifice and child trafficking worth keeping so we could have the status quo, or should it be burnt down? I personally, in the camp with Drew, you just need to burn it down and let the chips fall where they may. To me, that there is nothing on this earth that is more sacred than the protection of children. And
Yeah.
if you can't
Yeah.
do that as a nation or as a government institution, it needs to go. It eventually it will go. It's whether humans who are put on this earth by God can figure it out and right the ship and say, hey, we're going to pull the plug on this and we're going to try and start over again, because the road that we're going down now isn't what we want and is not the good road to go down. Or, dad's going to step in and say, flood it or burn it or
Yeah.
whatever. Those are your
Right.
choices.
It's Sodom and Gomorrah, bro.
I was just-
we're on that kind of a track.
no,
I
really.
was
You either
just-
shut it down,
Yeah.
you bring back Orange Julius and KB Toys, and we right the ship, or we're doomed.
Yes.
No, really.
I was just
Like,
going to say
those
that
are
if
your
God,
options.
if God doesn't do something about this situation that we've got in DC soon, he's going to owe Sodom and Gomorrah an apology. Like we're
Yeah.
we're right there. But I did want to put like I guess an exclamation point on something that you said earlier about, it's like Hillary Clinton. Well, how come you're never going to see perp walks done with that? And it's like, to the average person, just trying to get you to understand just from one aspect alone. Because if something like that were to happen, now you have to look at every single person that ever moved money through the Clinton Foundation. Why do you think that
Yeah.
was set up? And everything that's laundered through it. So you see what I'm saying? It's like if you just started with that portion of the spider web alone, there's your answer why she's never going to go to jail. Ever.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's the normalcy. It's everybody. Like, how do you take the oxygen away from it? It's everybody that enables it along the way. If you know you're tied into something and you don't see it because you're just so cut out and removed from it, but it goes to the Clinton Foundation, refuse or whatever.
Yep.
So that's it,
a dead
man.
end.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, they're going to escape again, just like, at the end of World War II, when you had the Nazis who were like, oh, we could use these guys, and we have Operation Paperclip. Oh, we have to do this just because we don't want the evil Russians to have him. And these other guys, well, they were bad, but, they can kind of go to South America at that. But we're going to run into the same thing. Oh, so-and-so, Adam Schiff was bad, but, he's not as bad. So, he's allowed to kind of, go where he needs to go and do what he needs to do. I think if it does come down to something like that, there'll be a divide like Operation Paperclip, where there'll be a couple of people who, and I don't know who they are, but they'll be small fish, just like they were, during the Nuremberg trials.
Well, and here's another thing, too, that people need to wrap their head around. And because we are talking about such a giant apparatus, when you say the federal government, right, let's keep it just there. But it's like even we understand, it's like, how many millions of people you're talking about. How many people as a part of that organization or under that umbrella are complicit in this stuff and they don't even know it. They're going about
Right.
their day doing what they think is the right thing. And talking as a guy that looked back at stuff that I've done in the past, and I'm having to come to grips with the fact of like, man, I wish I wouldn't have been a part of that project. But I was following orders, and I'm not talking about anything like illegal, because lots of things can be legal, right? Or murder or anything like that. But I'm talking about like, oh man, I was involved in helping to get projects funded through USAID in Syria. And then it's like all the stuff that came out through Doge and stuff. We found out about that. I'm going back and I'm looking at these projects that I was a part of. I'm like, man, I wish I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
They got me. Yeah.
I mean, you got like dimwits like Hank Johnson who thought Guam was in danger of tipping over if Marines were there.
Hold on. I mean, he is one of the smartest politicians, maybe smartest humans on the planet.
I was going to
Just
say,
ask
yeah.
him the questions we're all
Just
too
kidding.
afraid to ask.
He's maybe the dumbest
cook.
person.
But he's the kind of dimwit I think that you're talking about that was like, oh yeah, I'm going to vote for this and blah. Oh, I didn't. Sure. And it's like, all right, you've got one of the most retarded people, or Mazie Hirono, whoever you want. These low IQ people who everybody knows that they're stupid, but they could count on their vote. Those are kind of like your trash people that you'll be like, all right, take this one. Throw this one away.
Yeah.
No, I think that we're in this period where it's like a staring contest, and where people are going to blink. They always do, because we can't hold on to an idea for too long. And there's going to be people that are going to keep talking about it, right? And it'll probably be more than average the number of people that are talking about it. It's going to fade into the background at some point, unless, I mean, I don't see it happening, but unless people are frog walked out and hung, quite frankly, that it's just going to be another thing that fades into the background, and people are going to be like, remember that time?
Yeah.
Then I'm fucking pissed off about it, and ain't shit changed.
Yeah.
Frankly.
When it starts raining, people are going to go, we probably should have done something when those files came out. We saw, all these, at least an investigation or something. Somebody probably should have gone down. No,
But the FBI decided.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein was not trafficking women to elites. So, you know what?
Free
man?
and clear, baby.
Free and clear, yeah. Cash Patel, dude. Hey, I will burn it down. I will request all of that shit, and we'll make sure that there's arrests and all this crap. Like, okay, cool. No,
I predict
Total
a spate of Ruby Ridge incidents coming up here in the future, both from all of those of us that are like, I'm out.
Cal Fire,
like, go on
not
with
that
your
long
stuff.
ago, was out doing some wildfire mitigation in an area of Northern California, and they had to stop because they came across some areas of the forest that were booby trapped, and they were like, oh, well, we got to get the fuck out of here because we don't know what's around here. And that gave me a little bit of a warm fuzzy, quite frankly, even though the people I work with are like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, no, dude. That's somebody up there who's like, leave me the fuck alone, and is making
exactly
sure
right.
that he gets left alone. Like,
That's Nick Nolte, baby, in the last Olympus Has Fallen movie, or whatever.
no, literally.
But unfortunately, people like that are going to succumb to Israeli hitchhikers or Israeli backpackers, like in Patagonia.
No,
It's they want the 15-minute city, man. You know what? All this stuff, just like, to me, it's pattern recognition. People call me a conspiracy theorist all the time. I consider it pattern recognition. I talked to a friend of mine who has been building stadiums at an architectural firm. His architectural firm specializes in stadiums. The whole stadium design for single-use stadiums all emanated from Kansas City, Missouri. I'm not sure how many people know that, but that's where it came from. And it came from Arrowhead Stadium and their baseball, the Royal Stadium. Those two being, single-use projects for a specific sport. Anyways, a couple of years ago, he and I had lunch, and I was talking with him about, what's the future for stadiums? Are they going to hold more people? Are there going to be more amenities? And he said the biggest change that you'll see in stadiums is getting mass transportation to deliver people to the stadiums. And in my mind, I was thinking, there we go, 15-minute city. the idea is to eliminate parking because, especially for football stadiums, you don't really have large concerts other than like Taylor Swift that fill a stadium. So all that parking is useless for 8 months out of the year. Baseball tailgating culture, you don't have too much of it, so you could start with there, and hockey and just shrink it down so everybody relies on some sort of rail system or some other way to get to the venue, and then that becomes the epicenter of your city. So in construction stadiums, you see some of them coming back to downtown urban areas and building them up as being like the focal point, and then constructing your smart city around that.
Except though,
that's what's happening here.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, didn't we just see with one of the World Series games, because they were played up in Toronto, weren't they, this past year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Except that when they left, one of the games, everybody left and then tried to get on the rail that was right there next to the stadium in Toronto, but the rail stopped like 10 minutes early that night or whatever. It was just like, oh no, we're not coming in. So there's just like thousands of people that were stranded downtown Toronto next to the stadium.
Well, it doesn't work. I mean, it does. The concept of what they want to do is what they want to do, and that's 100% legit and I think real. But the infrastructure. That's the thing. Like, you look at the how nefarious and severe the ramifications are of all of that, which sounds convenient, which is what they're going to do. Like, the whole play is always, it's two things, right? It's always security or convenience or both, and they push that. But it's just not there. Like, it's just not there yet. Like, you don't and hopefully it never is, because what comes of all of that is not worth it, and hopefully people get that. But you guys, it's not there yet. Like, that's a great point, Chris. Like you don't have that in Toronto. Like, it don't fall for it.
Right.
Don't freaking fall for it. But you're not gonna have a choice soon. Yeah.
No, it's California saying that. I mean,
how long is your charging length?
Well, they've struck that down where they were going to say that California was going to go like total electric cars by like 2033 or some shit like that. But it's like, dude, PG&E doesn't even have the infrastructure to do something like that. Like, there are rolling blackouts all summer because of electric expenditure. Do you think everybody in this fucking state is going to have an electric car and that's just going to be okay? Like, to me, it's like that's the goal, is to immobilize people and keep them in these regions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the fuck was it, man? Maybe Tom, you maybe remember. There was like a UN plan for this. They talked about the 15-minute cities. That was just a piece of it, but it was like the United States was balkanized on purpose by region, and then there was going to take all of this natural land and then they were going to give it back to nature, and that's why they wanted you all in these cities. And this is where the introduction of eating bugs and all this stuff comes in, because they don't want you to be able to use the land for agriculture or to raise cattle. And so if you eat bugs and you get bug protein and all this other shit, then you don't have to leave these small areas they want you confined to. And then they have that city, I think it's Saudi Arabia, right? The line, and everything is provided for you.
Yep.
And there is just like one big rail system that goes all the way through this, and you're just going to be a happy little camper in your gerbil in your cage, and you're never going to want to leave. And like, it's like, let's test this out over here, and there's going to be retards that are going to move into it, and then we're going to see what we can get away with these fucking people. It's just, I don't know, man. It's all practice. It's practice.
Oh yeah, it's practice compliance. Okay, we could get all these people to live here. Oh yeah, they're living. We're having fun in our 15-minute city. We're walking. It's so great. And then all of a sudden one day, it's like, well, there are too many people. All right, detonate the line.
Right?
Because everybody's there.
Lock down a portion and gas it.
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's just convenience. Like that's. I mean, here's the thing: you look at all the stuff from Saudi and the line and all that stuff. Like, if you're into futuristic movies, you're into. I can't even think of a good example. You're like, okay, the kind of like, for the layman, for the common person, like, this seems cool. Like, no, it's not. Like, it's like COVID. It's like all these other things. What are you losing in the process? And you're losing a shit ton. And that's where people miss the mark on that.
You're collectivizing under the notion of being provided everything. which means you are 100% feudalizing yourself. And the people who are above you that you're allowed to be feudalized under are going to determine everything for you. And you know who that attracts? These shithead elites who enjoy that kind of thing because they know somebody who's building it. And what do you think is going to happen on the line? A lot of human trafficking and a lot of drugs and a lot of money from a lot of other things. Like, that's it. That's what that shit really is. It's crazy to me that you could like paint it in these utopia societies where everything is provided for you. It's like, dude, man, if you forget to feed your goldfish for a week, it's fucking dead. What happens when they decide that they're not going to feed you anymore because you're inside this box in the middle of the desert, by the way, okay, that you aren't going to be fucking done. Like, it's like, it's so nuts to your point, Drew. Like you were talking about this earlier. If you think something out for just 2 minutes and like forecast where this may be going, right? Like, you'll probably come to some conclusions that may save your life. You know, it's just kind of crazy.
Right.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, shall we wrap this up here, boys?
It's about that time. My eyeballs is floating.
It's about that time. It's been good, though.
The sunset
Great
was
conversation
really
today.
pretty behind you, Drew. I saw it coming in.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for your patience and understanding for my backdrop tonight. But yeah, it was good. No, it was good.
It was nice. Well, cool. Make sure you guys check out the show notes, and we appreciate you guys watching. We try to get these episodes out every week. Obviously, we're just a couple of retards humping a doorknob, so we may miss a week or two, but eventually it should be more consistent. We really appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode of No Party Affiliation.
This concludes our scheduled programming.